Welcome to this edition of On Tap, presented by FCSI the Americas. I'm Wade Kaler, Executive Director. On Tap today is somebody I've known since, believe it or not, 1998. Can you believe it's been 22 years since I first met this guy at an FCSI board of directors? I'm excited to talk to him. He's one of my favorites. Please welcome the owner of SSA Foodservice Design and Consultant Studio in sunny Tampa, Florida, Mr. Ken Schwartz. Ken, how you doing?
Great.
Woo! I'm doing good, man. Thanks for joining us again. You know, doing this program, we're really getting to know the consultants' backgrounds and kind of the members of FCSI. So starting off with, tell me a little bit about your background, you know, how you got started as a food service consultant and kind of where your specialty or segments are.
So I know one of the terms that's thrown around the industry a lot is the word dealer, and for a lot of people that has kind of a negative connotation. But I actually grew up in a family dealer business that was started by my great grandfather, who came to the States and made his way to Tampa in the 1800s, and that dealership actually opened up in 1897. Wow. And I grew up working there as a kid, and about the time it was time for me to graduate high school and think about going to college. Being the youngest of four, and with none of my older siblings being interested in the business, the family decided to sell the business. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, I guess I will have to get a real job. And I really thought about what I wanted to do. My heart was really in architecture and accounting, and I actually studied both and wondered kind of what I would do with that knowledge. And you know, the food service industry is kind of a weird industry. It's one of those industries that once you're in it, you can't seem to get out of it. So exactly. I figured, how will I take what I learn and see if we can't develop a consulting firm that may offer something differently and think about things differently. And that's how all of this got started.
Well, what do you specialize in? I know a lot of consultants have either certain segments of the industry or certain areas that they like to, it's their sweet spot. So what is your sweet spot for Ken in particular?
I'm kind of perplexed by that, right? Because our specialty, and it's funny because, you know, I have a lot of colleagues and friends in the industry in Europe too, right? And those firms are very siloed by segment, right? Some just do healthcare, and some do education, and some hospitality. We're food service design consultants, right? Yeah. So we specialize in all things food service. We've worked on everything from little push cart sushi carts to large cruise ships, Navy ships, casinos, hotels, restaurants for celebrity chefs. But I guess if I had to pick, you know, some of my favorites, I don't know. I have a couple of favorite elements of projects. Okay. But I have some really favorite clients that I've worked with. And, you know, a lot of people kind of know us for our work that we did with Hard Rock Cafe, right? We have designed probably more than half of the Hard Rock cafes around the world. But, you know, and we've made some good friends along the way. Some of those people are still really good friends. We stay in close contact. But, you know, working for guys like Michael Mina, who's a very well-known name in the food service culinary world, and Scott Conant, those were very fun clients, very fun projects that turned out really, really great. And then I want to bring it home a little bit because we last year we finished about 250 projects. Wow. And only 6 of them were in Florida, and only one of them was in Tampa. And that's a project that's the construction is just wrapping up now. The project is currently on social media. It's called Casa Santo Stefano. The building, the family has a really great history. Our client, the restaurateur, the Gunsmart family, their family started their first restaurant in Tampa in 1905. So our families have been doing business together for over 100 years. And
that's amazing.
I'm currently, I'm 4th generation in our family. My son Kyle, who works here, is 5th generation. And the owners of the Columbia restaurant that that is the owner of this Casa Santo Stefano, Richard Gunsmart and his brother Casey are also fourth generation in their family, and Richard's daughter Andrea and Casey's son Casey Jr. are fifth generation. And we have the pleasure of working with all of them. And so one of the things I found about our industry is that it just creates lifelong friends, like my good friend Wade Kaler, right? I mean, we've known each other for a very, very long time. And, this is really, it's an industry that requires knowledge and expertise, but it's really it's really an industry that develops incredible lifelong relationships.
It's amazing. I mean, it's one of the few industries I think that you're right about you can't get out of. Even if you're not specifically in it anymore, you still have all those contacts that stay in touch with you, even if you've left it. With consultants that have left the consulting industry, and I still stay in touch with some of them, even though we're not even close in the same industry anymore. So, one of the things that you said that is a myth that I hear a lot about with food service consultants, and you just touched on it, and that is, everybody thinks they need a food service, or a lot of restaurateurs especially think they need a food service consultant that's local. But you just pointed out you did 250 last year and only one of them is local. I mean, why do you think that myth exists?
And only 6 were in Florida and one was local.
Why do you think that myth exists for a lot of restaurateurs, that they think they need to find somebody local?
I think that they probably feel like there's an exorbitant cost with hiring somebody who's from out of town. And one of the things that we do, right, we want to be, we want to appear as local as possible. And, 25, 30 years ago, when I realized that there was a much bigger world outside of Tampa and the Tampa Bay area and Florida and even the United States, right, and our firm started working internationally, is that I realized that, first of all, there are a lot of places where there are no consultants, right? So you have to hire somebody from out of town.
Yeah.
But we thought in places where there are people in town, how do we make it more favorable for a prospective consultant to consider us? And one of the things that we took a stance on is never charging for travel time. So we put together a fee proposal that is our fee. It's going to be the same fee if we were doing the project right across the street as it is if we're doing it across the country or across the pond. The only difference to that is we do invoice the client for our travel expenses, reasonable travel expenses, and that's it. And so when I talk to clients about that and I say, this is our investment in your project to be as local as possible,
right?
There's a high level of appreciation with that. So it kind of evens the playing field a little bit.
Nice. That's a great thing. And I don't know that a lot of people realize that. So I'm glad you cleared that up. It's as executive director for 10 years now of FCSI, it's probably the one thing when we get calls at headquarters for people looking for consultants, it's the one thing that I have to convince them to do is not think locally all the time. It's great to think locally, but you don't have to do that. So I'm glad you kind of cleared that up. Tell me one thing about Ken Schwartz that no one would ever guess. Some deep, dark secret that Ken's got that no one would ever guess is about you.
Have you talked to my wife? Did she ask you to ask that?
She's actually the one that teed up this question for me.
Well, there are a couple of things that probably, I don't know that they're secrets, right? I just never really shared them until we just updated our website and we put in a couple of fun facts about each other.
Yeah.
But I have a 2nd degree black belt in Okinawan Shorin-ryu karate, which is like technical street fighting. And in our industry, I'm probably the only, maybe one of 2 certified cave divers in our industry.
Oh, cool. Very cool. All right. Well, those are good ones. I like that. See, I learned something new today, and I've known you for 28 years now.
See?
So you talked a little bit about the great things you've done, and you've done some amazing projects. Tell me about the biggest screw-up you've done in your career.
Yeah, interesting.
And what'd you learn from it, too, obviously?
So it's interesting. We have an internal debrief at the end of every project. When a project's finished and it opens and everything is up and running. And, there are always hiccups. There are a couple of ripples.
Sure.
Things need to get ironed out, panned out. Some things, some pieces aren't working. Some weren't connected properly. We always have a debrief that's called lessons learned. We do it internally here at SSA.
Okay.
We actually do it with clients also, and some of this actually started when we were working with the Michael Mina Group, and we were doing so many projects together, and one project would finish, and we had to sit down and said, why don't we sit down and have a session called Lessons Learned? There's no finger pointing, there's no blaming. What did you do? What did we do? And how could we do it better the next time? And it was probably the single greatest learning experience. And one of the things I remember, like very, very early on, we were doing like this little soft serve drive-through ice cream shop. And the client wanted to have these very specific soft serve machines. Mm-hmm. And they gave us a spec on it. And the spec that they gave us was for a water-cooled unit. And so, we used those, we designed them, we specified them. Didn't know enough at the time to ask, well, do you have chilled water in your place to actually connect to these things to water cool them? And we were assuming because they gave us the spec that they knew what they wanted. And in all honesty, back at the time, we were kind of thinking that, water cooled, it's like a car. Well, my car is water cooled. It has its own radiator. It has its own system. At the time, we didn't realize that it really needed to be connected to a water source within the building. And so, that took a little bit of scrambling, but we got it all resolved. And that was one of those things that kind of stuck with me forever. And, one of the things I learned, early on, and, when I talk about this being a relationship business, it's not just between us and the clients and our home office at FCSI. It's also our other members, right? Probably, and people forget how important our allied members are and our relationships with them. And so, in cases where maybe something didn't work out exactly the way we intended, or it didn't turn out to be exactly what the client wanted, and now they want something else, it's our relationships with those allied members that really help to overcome some of those challenges. Or sometimes it's a design challenge and we're looking for a specific widget. So we value those relationships.
Tell me, do you have, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway on this one for you. Do you have a personal or professional mantra that you live by or work by or both? I mean, is there some kind of philosophy or something that Ken gets motivated by to remind himself once in a while?
That mantra is always take the work serious, but never take ourselves serious.
That's very along the lines what I thought. So only the man that invented a game called Fruit Ball could come up with something like that. So like what we like to do, we're getting towards the end of the interview. What I want to do, and which is kind of fun, is do a speed round of sorts. I'm going to say some few words, and when I say the word, just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. I'm going to go ahead and put a little 60 seconds on the clock here type thing, and we'll just run these through real quick. So when I say something, just tell me what comes in your mind.
Okay.
Scope creep.
Dealer.
RFP.
Opportunity.
Holding spec.
A must.
Favorite cocktail.
Crown on the rocks.
Cook in or order takeout?
Yeah, that's hard. Cook in at the moment.
At the moment. Last gift you gave someone?
That's tough. Last gift I gave. Travel to Gosha.
Favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Favorite junk food?
French fries.
Ooh, good one. Karaoke or lip sync?
Oh my God. I would love to do karaoke.
Texting or talking on the phone?
It depends on who.
That's fair. Favorite holiday?
As
much as you travel, probably every day. So
I would just say travel. I wouldn't label it a holiday. Like I can't label it like it's a Christmas holiday. Travel is one of my most favorite things.
I know living in sunny Florida, it's kind of hard, but get favorite season of the year.
Funny. I like, if I had to pick a season, I like winter. Like I like putting on winter clothes and being in the snow and kind of that chilliness and, walking through the street markets and getting like the hot wine and yeah.
Because you don't live in a cold environment, trust me.
Exactly.
Double dipping in food, yes or no? Or no?
Oh, definitely no.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
We're still friends. Toilet paper, over or under the roll?
Over.
Okay. And then last but not least, FCSI.
Friends.
Good one. I like that. That's all I've got for you today, Ken. I again appreciate you joining us. Is there anything you want to promote or any last words you've got for our viewers?
Well, because we work on a global scale, we find ourselves always available, collaborating with clients and architectural firms, design firms from different countries. As I mentioned, we just relaunched our website that has a lot of great information on it. We'd love for people to go visit it, tell us what they think. As you know, Wade, it's studiofs.com is our website. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Both of those are SSA FSD. And we look forward to hearing from people.
Thanks. I appreciate it, man. It was great getting to talk to you again today. As always, I really enjoy it. I wish you all the best. It's a wrap on this edition of On Tap with FCSI. If you enjoyed today's episode, help us spread the word. Make sure to like and subscribe this channel, and check back next week when we feature another FCSI consultant. Until then, cheers.